New methods are being developed every day, and I'm utilizing some stuff that I was going to throw out to create new depths in this particular slab, including stuff from my cutaways. We start by wiring the pieces into place. As you can see, I've got this one already in place, and so we tighten up the wire down here below. And we just simply fold the wire down into place. This is the last section to be concreted. It has this fine mesh here that stops the leakage of the concrete coming from this side. And these plastic hair clipper attachments will actually be covered over by mesh, and concrete will be added, and they will be shaped into a rock form. I can kind of give you a slight illustration using this coil to kind of give you an idea of what I am trying to do here. And thus, the formation should actually create sort of a barrier inside to hold the soil in for whatever you might want to plant on this slab. But we're not going to be using foil for that. That's merely for an illustration. I might use some of it. I haven't decided yet. But I will be using such as these. And forming it so that it works out. I'll try to lead you through it step by step, and once I know it's secure. Now the question is, should I do each one individually, or should I put all the plastic parts on first? Well, I've decided I'm going to put all the plastic parts on first, so I'm going to set these aside, and then I'll go to my next piece, which is this piece here. We're going right up to the edge with this one, and we simply cut enough wire to make sure that we can attach that. And I'm using a stainless steel wire here that actually came with the mesh. I might actually use something different when I start to run out of this. I don't have a whole lot left because I used it a whole lot. And of course, if I start making the pieces smaller, I'll probably be able to get more out of it. Again, it's just a matter of going through. Now, obviously, most people do not have an excess of these clipper attachments. I wouldn't think anybody would have any of them. But rather than throwing them in the trash, I'm always up for an experiment. See, my roosters are crowing quite a bit today. Well, I'll come back to you when I get further along. Got the first pieces in place, and now I'm starting to cover it with the wire mesh, and can't wait to start with the concrete. Using the 1/4-inch wire mesh, I've covered this portion of it. I've yet to do this. Switching to gloves now, I'm going to try to do the next two sections together, and by using the gloves and the root hook, I'm able to compress the metal down, and you wear the gloves for your own safety, because this metal can tear into your flesh. So it's just a matter of pressing it down and getting it in place. Once you got it in place, you can add a little bit of wire from the other side to actually hold it in place. And remember, you're using concrete, so the concrete is going to hide a lot of what you're doing. Matter of fact, it should hide everything that you're doing, so that you don't have the exposure of these plastic pieces along with the wire mesh itself. So there we are before we do the tie downs, and you just have to wait for the results. I've already used 5 tie downs here, and this is my last tie down, and I'm only using this very small aluminum wire right now. It doesn't have to have great strength, but just enough to tie this down, and because it's aluminum wire, I can actually do it by hand. So you can see that gives me a good tie down on this, and then I'm able to take and use some kind of heavy object and just sort of press the points down to where they're sort of out of place. Now I probably will do one more tie down in here before I start this next section that will go up to about here with the ridge. Here's what we got so far. I actually used some of the 1/8 inch mesh to complete the final border, and as you can see, the planting area, very big. Here's the start of it on the operating table and ready to get to concrete. These are the tools that I'll be utilizing as I do this first layer of concrete, mainly going around the holes for the drainage and doing the new rock formation, mixing up only like a half a tub of this at one time, and going over here to the concrete. I'll take the concrete out and I sift it into this container here, and then move it there, stir it up with a drill, and then go from there. Usually starts with 3 scoops of concrete into my kitchen mixing bowl. Set these out of the way for the minute. Then we add in some water. Some more water. Quite soupy, so I'm going to add in more concrete. A little at a time. Well, I think I have what I need now. I don't waste any time. I get right into it with adding the concrete. Since we're doing these new areas, I'm going to start with them and then go into the holes. So it's just a matter of getting in here and pressing it down. Let it flow through the plastic and the metal. It looked like nothing like rock so far, but you got to give it a chance. See what we can do with the concrete. You can hide a multitude of unsightly metal underneath concrete. You should all know that by now by living in the United States. Of course, the amount of concrete I've made up so far will not go very far, but I thought you might want to see some of these first stages. I haven't shown a lot of them in my previous films on making slabs or even making mountains. Today, I'm producing a rather long film, which won't be out for a while, because I want to show every aspect of this, maybe even to the point of planting something on it. So obviously that's going to take some time. But you can see already how that the metal is disappearing. And this is a good mixture I got going on here. One little fact about the PVC pipe that you see in the drainage holes, that's just so I can concrete around them without filling up the holes. I used to leave just some metal mesh showing before, but I've discovered after a while that that mesh starts to rust, and then you got an open hole anyway. So rather than do that, I'm doing the other. You can see that this is going to take some real manipulation to turn these into rocks, but that'll be in the second amount of concrete going on this part, which will not happen today. Now, around the drain holes, I usually just get down there and press around them, trying to cover up any metal that's showing. Almost out of concrete already. Now down here on this end, I use the 1/8 inch mesh, which won't allow the concrete to go through boldly, but it will sift through, and we're going to be able to work with it. I'll give you a close-up of this once I finish this little bit of concrete here and show how it's progressing. See, all gone already. I like to use small batches. I'm not using any coloring in this right now. Well, here is the first concrete poured. Haven't gotten very far. Got the next batch of concrete ready. I'm going to start back up here where we left off. I have parchment paper down on this folding table, and that allows the concrete to seep right through whatever metal it can and go onto the parchment paper, knowing the fact that I will be going to do the other side when this side has a time to cure, dry that is. And I can still continue to go over these other ones that the concrete has sifted down through. Hit the edge here. Sometimes you literally just got to press it down into the metal, because especially when you're using this 1/8 inch, it doesn't like to go through. It will actually stay there, which is a good thing at the right time. Eventually I will start to leave sort of lumps like this to create the rock effect, but I'm not at that stage yet. Might even happen on the next go around. Adding some speed to the film now to get you through these long segments. Each step is important. You might notice those silver straps through the film or through the substructure there. They're called brick straps, or for laying brick and concrete block. It's the next morning and I've turned the slab over and moved the PVC pipes to the other side, and you can see where the parchment paper has restrained the concrete from coming through in a heavy dose, so it's not a whole lot to do, it seems. This is where I apply my signature, and then we'll get to the other side. Well, we're already into the second side now. Now I'm going to introduce to you a new technique that I haven't shown before. And we're moistening the concrete we've already laid down for the day, and getting ready for the next little bucket. But we're going to start doing some brooming here. And what this does, it spreads out the concrete that is not dried yet. It won't really work on concrete that's dried overnight, but it will work on concrete that you've been working on in the last 15 minutes or so. And we'll come back and we'll do this again as we progress. So let's apply some more concrete. This is the longest film that I've ever made. I got some soft music playing in the background, and we've sped up the film so that you don't have to sit through every inch of footage that I had to go through to make this slab. I did it over a 4-day period, spending no more than 2 hours in any particular day in doing it. Yeah, we're out of concrete. Now it's time to do a little brooming. I'm using the mister on my hose. Well, more speed. This was going to be a 40-minute film, and I've got it down to 23 minutes at the time, but I still got more to add to it, so I'm speeding up what little segments I can. I think you can understand exactly what's going on here. Here I'm trying to get ready to add my name, well, just my initials. Getting out the last of the concrete. Got like a wire sticking through there, so it's the one thing about working with concrete. You can fix your mistakes quite easily. And since you're making something kind of natural looking, it doesn't have to be perfect in this sense. And this is also going to be on the bottom of the slab. This side will not even get painted. I could have added black coloring to the concrete to get the black color that I ended up with. I was able to create my initials in that section of concrete because it's quite deep through there. There it is, TA 25. And I might do a few more swipes with the broom here, but I'm done for this side, it looks like, completely. Today we start the third day in finishing off this concrete slab, and we're getting ready to incorporate this black acrylic paint and trying to figure out exactly how much of it we actually want to paint and how much of it we want to actually add new concrete for a different look. By different look, I'm talking about this area that I've overlaid with gravel. How will it look once it's painted? Or how will it look when it's gotten some smooth concrete over it? And the question is, should we actually do something about the center here that won't be shown because there'll be a tree planted on it, but you can see the metal clearly through it. Are you liking what you see? You can see just how a coat of black acrylic paint can change the whole outlook of this. And we'll go back to the original color. And it even somewhat hides the metal underneath. Well, after some searching, I'm liking the black, but I did a little bit more concrete work to get rid of the marks in the middle of the tray. And I did some broom work on my tiny little mountain range that surrounds what's going to be, I guess, a forest done like a park. Not really sure exactly what I'm going to do in there, but I'm liking the black color. Kind of looks like lava. Got a slow drying process here, but later today I'll probably be able to paint the whole thing. Almost looks like a tiny little mountainscape. Now here we are on the fourth day, and I've painted the entire slab, And I see out here in the bright sun that I still have a few places to touch up. And so I will continue to do that. Well, there she is. The black slab with the black lava rock, tiger bark ficus, the baby tears. Let's try to grab every inch of how this looks. And it can only get better with time.